All right, welcome to Earth Science. So, this is getting into harder types of relative humidity and dew point questions. This is what they're going to look like, really bare bones as a format. They're going to make them look like word problems and complicate your life further. But this will take you through how to do every single possible scenario that they could ask. And what it really is, first off, if these are uncomfortable for you and you haven't made it through this and you haven't done those answers, that's got to be first. And if you're confused on those, we should talk, we should email, we should meet, whatever it takes. Because if these are confusing, there's no way you're getting the next set. It's just you're going way too fast. Okay, so make sure you got good answers here, that they all made sense, and that you watched the answer video to verify that. That said, what you did here was you took a dry bulb and a wet bulb and figured it out by saying the dry bulb is this, the wet bulb in this scenario is 2 degrees lower, so my dew point in that first one was 15 degrees Celsius. Okay, here's an example of what the regents is going to do, really with that same information, but they'll ask it in a funky way to try to confuse you, because that's what they do. So they'll say to you any combination of weird things. Here's one possibility. They'll say, "What if your dry bulb is 18 degrees C," which I can't do here in this font thing, "and your dew point is 15." It's suddenly a very different question. Now what they're doing is they're saying you don't inherently know that too. You know these two things. And really that's what it's going to be. The strategy, the underlying strategy to every single one of these is they're giving you two things, and using those two things, you got to be able to figure out everything else. And once it's not as scary as it sounds. Once you practice a few, it's not bad. So they'll say temperature's 18, dew point's 15, and then they'll ask you, using that information, will you tell me what the RH is, what the relative humidity is? Which, again, initially might be like, oh, I don't know, that's scary. Let's check out how to do it. If the dry bulb was 18 and the dew point is 15, there's the two bits of information I know. But I can figure out other stuff from that. Like, I can figure out that the wet bulb depression, the difference between wet bulb and dry bulb is 2. And suddenly it's not so scary. Suddenly now it's kind of like one of these problems. I know that it's 18, and I know that it went down by 2. So can I figure out the relative humidity? Yeah. I'm just going to come down to this chart and basically pick the same exact spot on the chart. At 18 and 2, it is 81%. Okay? They could do all kinds of things to you. What if they say the wet bulb depression is 8? Let me erase, or I'll just change colors here. The wet bulb depression is 8, and the dew point is 16. Could you tell me the relative humidity? And again, that might sound scary, but as long as you follow the vocabulary and you're tight with that, and you find the two things on these tables, you can figure out the rest. The hardest part is almost the first one. As soon as you figure out where you are, the other it's just the same spot on the other one. It's not too bad. So the depression of 8 with the dew point of 16 means that my dry bulb temperature, or again, remember what we is just plain old air temperature, must be 28. I figured that out. And then go to the other chart. What is the scenario? What occupies that same square on the other chart at the conjunction of 28 and 8? 28 and 8. It looks like it must be, in those conditions, 47% relative humidity. That's your job here. What's the dry bulb? What's the wet bulb? What's the wet bulb depression? In other words, how much did it go down by? In this case, it went from 14 to 12, so it went down by 2 degrees C. Do remember that wet bulb has to be lower. It's a wet bulb depression. And it's why it was the first thing I said in that last lesson. If you've gotten out of a pool and you felt water evaporates, temperature goes down. So these better all be lower. Or they're wrong. I didn't mean to sound threatening there. They should all be lower than the dry bulb. So, hey, let's do one more with that. If the dry bulb, regular plain old air temperature is 22, and it went down by 6, that means that this must be what? I'm going to make Mr. Finnerty do arithmetic. It's always scary. 16. I hope. Yeah. It was 22 and went down by 6, so this is 16. and then solve for those two using the chart, just like we've done before. What if they give you this in the dew point? Just find where that is. Where's the dry bulb 16 with a dew point of 4? Use that to figure out the depression. Use that to figure out how much lower that was, and use that to find the same chart on the same spot on the other chart. If you find the two that are written, you can find the other ones. And if it's going to be a little tricky, but again, once people do a couple, they usually get the hang of it. And again, it's kind of mandatory. You can't really advance with this stuff until you get the bare bones on how to really be comfortable navigating back and forth between these two charts. So I'm here. If and when you get lost, let's chat. If you want to try some harder problems, you can go with that stuff. This I'm saying is the part that's kind of mandatory to be able to move on to the lab, though. If you don't get comfortable with this, the lab's not going to make any sense. So please do. Let me know if you have any problems. Take care.